Hi, I'm Alison Brady. I'm an Associate Program Director at Humentum. I'd like to tell you about our compliance and risk management workshops. Maybe at some point in your career, this has happened to you. You're reading your USAID award and you see that it says that you must manage your budget in accordance with 2 CFR 200.308. And that's all that it says. It doesn't give you any more information, doesn't tell you what CFR means or what those numbers mean. And so you're left to wonder, what is it that you're required to do? What's in that regulation? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? And you can Google that regulation and you can read it, but after reading it, you might still not be 100% sure that you know what it is that you're required to do. And that's how Humentum can help you, because we have a variety of compliance and risk management workshops that demystify U.S. government regulations so that you can be confident that you know what it is you're required to do, what it is that you are not allowed to do, but beyond the do's and don'ts, so that you can also have a sense of what your organization should be doing to structure your policies and procedures, to structure roles and responsibilities in your teams to prevent compliance problems, because then your organization can focus your time and your energy on meeting your targets, keeping your funders happy, and meeting the needs of your beneficiaries. I know that when some people hear the word regulation, they think, oh, only lawyers need to know regulations. But our workshops aren't meant for lawyers. They're meant for people who work at NGOs in a variety of roles. Our approach to teaching U.S. government requirements is to help you be comfortable with the U.S. government's terminology so that you can read the regulations on your own, do research when you have a question or when you need to prepare to negotiate with the U.S. government. Our workshops are truly appropriate for anyone who has a role to play on a U.S. government-funded project. So, for example, maybe you're a procurement officer and you want to know what the regulations say about conducting competitive procurements when you're buying goods or services. Or maybe you're a finance manager and you want to know what the regulations say about budget flexibility because you need to develop a budget monitoring tool. Or maybe you're a program person and you're making decisions about how to implement the project. So you need to know what costs you are allowed to spend the U.S. government's money on. Or you're an HR person and you need to know what allowances and benefits you can offer to your staff. Or maybe you're the boss, you're the country director or the executive director, and you have a technical background. But now you have all these responsibilities. You have to make decisions, you have to sign a lot of documents, you have to manage relationships with funders and stakeholders. And, you want to do the right thing, but you've never been trained on what you can and can't do when you're implementing a USAID project. So it doesn't really matter what role you have. Our workshops are for you. And it also doesn't matter what type of organization you work at, because our workshops were designed to be appropriate for many types of organizations. Maybe your organization is relatively small, you're just starting to get USAID funding, or maybe you're working at an organization that has been receiving U.S. government funding for decades. But you've heard that there have been some recent changes in the regulations, and so you want to be sure that you and your colleagues know what the current requirements are. Humentum's workshops are based on current regulations, and not only do we teach you what the requirements are, but we also give you context for recent changes in the regulations so that you can understand what those changes mean for your organization. Now, you might have noticed that I've been talking about USAID a lot, and you will see USAID mentioned in many of the titles for our workshops. But that doesn't mean that those workshops are only appropriate for organizations that receive USAID funding. We include USAID in our workshop titles because USAID is the main part of the U.S. government that provides funding for international development and humanitarian response activities. But our workshops are appropriate for organizations that receive funding from other parts of the U.S. government, like CDC or the State Department, because the key regulations that we teach are not specific to USAID. They are broadly applicable to U.S. government funding. When you look at our list of compliance and risk management workshops, you might wonder which workshops are best for you to sign up for. And I would recommend that the first thing you find out is what type of award does your organization have? Do you have a contract, or do you have a grant or a cooperative agreement? If you have a contract, then you should take our 3-day USAID Contract Management for NGOs workshop. If you have a grant or a cooperative agreement, you should take our 3-day Rules and Regulations for Grants and Cooperative Agreements workshop. These courses, they give you an excellent foundation in the requirements for each type of funding. And then beyond those 2 3-day courses, we also have other workshops that take an in-depth look at topics like procurement, subaward management, financial management, and proposal development. All of these workshops are delivered in a face-to-face format, and some of them are offered in French or in Spanish. And some of them we offer as e-workshops that have the same content as our face-to-face workshops. All of our workshops, whether it's face-to-face or the e-workshops, they are developed and delivered by Humentum's expert trainers. And participants in our workshops, they learn so much directly from our trainers, but they also learn from their fellow participants because we do a lot of activities and exercises in each workshop. And it's through those activities that we focus on the practical application of the requirements that we're learning about. And, just some examples of those practical activities. We develop a procurement plan in one workshop. We develop a subaward closeout checklist in another one. Our focus on taking a practical approach to compliance, it's also reflected in the action planning that we do during each workshop, because we know that these courses, it's only valuable if participants do something with their knowledge after the workshop when they're back at the office. So we encourage participants to make a plan for sharing information with their colleagues, or for taking a fresh look at how their organizations operate, such as an organization's policies or documentation that goes in the files, because it's all about ensuring that the organization is compliant with the requirements and is ready for the next audit. So I hope that you'll take a closer look at our workshop schedule to learn more about attending one of our compliance and risk management workshops. And if you have any questions, please contact Humentum so that we can help you choose the right workshop for you.